And it was not an answer, so pew pew lasers! For today's video, I wanted to showcase a deck idea that I have been mulling around. I ran into a version of it at some point on the ladder, but because I was playing against it, I have no idea what their list looked like, and this is my own attempt. So this is Aphelios Lux. The idea is using Aphelios and all of his spells as an engine for Lux to keep making lasers. So between the two of them, if you can keep them alive on the board, you just rack up insane value. And this, I'm just going to scroll through. I think personally, a lot of this stuff is pretty self-explanatory as far as its inclusions. I don't think you're going to look through this and see anything completely out of whack. So I'm not going to go through the list heavily because I want time to put games in and have you guys see that content. But this is the list. Deck code and a link to the deck will be in the video description. And as far as the actual, composition goes, I will highlight Veiled Temple. This is a card that when I saw it revealed, I was like, okay, it seems neat. But having played with it now, at least in the current meta, which is a very slow-ish meta, it has been much better than I thought it was going to be. This card has overperformed my expectations. Now, that being said, I don't necessarily think this is like an S tier card. This is not Plaza power levels from, the pre-nerf. Don't get me mistaken here. But the card is better than I thought it was going to be. So if you're looking at this and you're unsure, just at least give it a try. And I think you will be at least surprised by the results. But this is the list, and we're just going to dive into the games now. Interesting. So this is looking like it's going to be Frostbite mid-range, but with Tryndamere on the top end. I think we want that to start. I think I'd like to try to find a 2-drop. We'll keep the sharp sight. I think this is a rough first game for trying to showcase this deck because I'm convinced this is a bad matchup. Specifically because the Frostbite effects ruin our concerted strike opportunities. Single combat, things like that. That's not to say that we don't have other options, but it certainly presents a problem. Okay, so we could take the Priestess, or we could start the Aphelios train, but then that doesn't leave us with a lot for future turns because we also would like to get the temple going. The sooner we get Aphelios going, the better. So this is a bit of an interesting dilemma here. I think we're gonna go with the Priestess. Golden Sister is actually very good for us. Traveler can help as well, but I think we're gonna take the removal option for now. I suspect we're, I was gonna say maybe gonna have some sort of flash freeze effect here, but I was wrong. Let's just take our free chip damage. And then this is again gonna be a temple turn. Now this doesn't start counting the cards until after it's in play, so this doesn't count towards itself. So you can't like play a gem and then get 2 mana there. Now we are already frostbitten. There's a lot of things that we could do here, but I think the one that I want to go with is Sharp Sight. Cascade, because that's going to make this up to a 4/6, so that even if they do have another frostbite effect, we'll also survive here. But then we also get the mana back as well, so that's the attractiveness of that play. Aphelios is looking like a strong option, as is potentially Sky Shadows into Mountain Goat. with 8 mana, Aphelios without any way to protect him is a bit scary to me. So I think we're gonna do the 2 drops, carry our spell mana through, and then start with Aphelios fun on the following turn. Again, I'd like to get him up and running, but not knowing if they have something like Culling Strike, for example, could be frustrating. So I think I would rather just do something like this. And so here I'm going to go with the 1 gem into the swing. The 1 gem means that our Aphelios will trigger the Nightfall. We'll likely take the deal 3 to a follower so that we can remove that as well.
Sharpen the blade, secure the kill.
Potentially problematic, but we do have the Concerted Strike. We also have Meteor Shower that we could just use to nuke the 2. Though not this turn, so Concerted Strike would be our open attack answer. But again, then we're worried about other potential options. A lot of different ways we can navigate this.
All the world on one arrow.
So I think here we want the Gravitum as our phase option. You know what? I take it back. I think we're gonna leave this here and just go with the Meteor Shower option now. I think I would rather deal with these 2 potentially. Well, they could have like a Troll Chant to save them, but that's a really impactful shower.
The frost reveals all to me.
So again, Culling Strike here could be problematic, but they just seem to have a Yeti. We'd love to have a Lux, like that's kind of the entire point of the deck, more than a quarter of the way through, but it is what it is. All right, again, we have Concerted Strike options, but I think here now we'll take the Gravitum and just try to get rid of the Shaman. If we can't save
You own what you take.
Aphelios. Now that's interesting that they decided to do that instead of the Aphelios. Like, that feels very interesting to me. I think we just pass here.
Stand and fight.
All right, so again, they've got Flash Freeze mana, though they haven't really been using it prior. But we'll at least try to force it out of them. Really surprised they decided to try to get rid of that goat instead of the Aphelios, unless they're sitting on Culling Strike and that was the follow-up play, and now we're making them decide. Yep, there it is. And while that's, you know, not ideal, we'd love to keep our Aphelios. I think overall we're relatively happy with that outcome. We could actually push a decent amount of damage by going with a Gravitum here into an open attack. Which is really tempting. I mean, it would potentially force any other Flash Freeze effects out of him. So I think that's what I want to do. And we'll take the Crescendum just so that we can hunt for more units when we phase again, potentially. We're gonna do this one just on the off chance they run something like Brittle Steel.
Witness glory.
So that this pushes more damage. All right, so we get him down to 2. Give ourselves another gem.
These old eyes still see far.
I think here we will take this. All right, so out of these options, I think the Overwhelm is likely our best bet because of the low health total. The question now, whether we just pass and bank the spell mana, or do we just pop one of these remembrances anyway? And I actually think that this is fine. The only thing we're worried about would be maybe like a Reckoning, right? Because we're out of mana. Oh, and because we rolled Screeching. So like Reckoning is actually kind of rough because of this roll. We have to hope that they don't have it here because we don't have 2 burst spells to respond and like even attempt anything with this temple. What we really want to do is get a gem on this sooner rather than later if we can help it. So if they didn't have it before and they didn't play it immediately off the top deck, maybe we wait. You know, I think we're gonna want it there either way. So let's go ahead and do this, and we're gonna grab the Gravitum here. And this would have been a great game to actually have a Lux to start the machine gun, but just trying to work this out a bit here. I think we just pass at this point.
Safeguard our homes.
And again, this gives credence to maybe some sort of Reckoning or something. I actually think that this is a mistake. If they didn't have Reckoning before, they probably don't have it now, and they're really low on cards, and these are not doing them much good. I think I would rather actually just take a good chunk of this and make this trade here to get the life back. The more I look at this board, the more I dislike eliminating those units and giving them any sort of help whatsoever. And so I think now the play is a Gravitum here. And then we're going to wait and see what they do in response. Because again, we're waiting for a potential pass. There is the Reckoning. Okay. I properly dodged this. Now, we do have this Radiant Guardian, and this is stunned, and we technically have enough with the open attack here, but I think going Remembrance into Charger and then open attack is probably better, because they top deck like Harsh Winds, for example. That sets us back a decent amount. And so now we just take this and see what kind of combat tricks they have to deny us. We hope that it's none. Again, this would have been a great game to have actually found Lux. Little concerned that it's taken so long for them to decide their course of action, because that means that they likely have options here. Also, this might be the largest Solari Priestess I have ever seen. 4 triggers off of that Veiled Temple. Alright, maybe they don't have anything, because I haven't seen any movement. Maybe they just don't like losing to this odd concoction. But we're gonna definitely play at least one more game after this, one way or the other, because I want to try to get Lux on the board so that we can start firing those lasers. Pew pew. But that's a victory. All right, it's a good start. Uh-oh. So this is looking like it's going to be something aggressive. Means we have to survive it. Guess we'll go with this. Like the sharp sight combat trick. I like the early bodies. We have a Lux. So we're at least a step in the right direction in that regard. Of course they have the Teemo. Like, what are the chances that's a one of Teemo? Maybe it's like 3 Teemo, 2 Draven, 1 Jinx or something. I'd be curious to know what the split is, but without knowing, I'm going to assume it's a one of Teemo and I'm going to complain about it because that's just how I roll. All right, that was good enough to shut me down. So we will take the pass here. Now we have to decide whether or not we want to go with this or block the Teemo with the combat trick. But I think at the moment it's going to be this. Teemo's just going to have to connect again. A bit of a tough call at the moment. Meteor Shower is going to be the most likely value, but it's going to probably conflict with when we want to play this, though maybe not. With our 1 spell mana that we're banking here, we might have access to it this next time. Wow. That is a fast start. Okay, we're gonna take some damage. If we can get one of these radiants up and going, though, we might have a shot here. That's going there for sure. So the question that we have to ask ourselves now is, do we block with this mountain goat or not? And I know that seems like a really silly question because we're staring down so much damage, but if we need this radiant to trigger, there's an argument to be made about you save this so that on that following turn something dies and you can get this up and running. So given the hand that we have, I think that this is the play, even though I'm not a big fan of it, right? Like, I obviously don't want to go down to 10, but I don't see with our current hand much of an alternative. So I think we just try to hit these. We could wait and try to hit something not this, like if they drop a Draven or a Jinx here. But if I pass and they pass and then they just come in with an open attack again, it's not going to be a good time. So I don't think you can take the dry pass here. Just don't think that's much of an option, sadly. We have to slow them down at least a little bit so that we can get Radiant up and running. And of course, there is the Jinx. Ow. And so as much as we'd love this goat to trade, I also think this has to go here because I mean, if they have like Mystic Shot, get excited, we run into problems there. But again, we just really need this Radiant to trigger. We could theoretically like block and Concerted Strike and try to only take 2, but I think that the prioritizing the healing makes more sense, at least at the moment.
Justice will be served.
And then you just have to pray. And then next turn we take the open attack and then go from there. Even though we'd love to get Lux down to start cleaning up this board, there's a strong chance that we have to open attack and do the Concerted Strike thing. Yeah, that's not a great sign. All right, so they are maybe trying to mushroom me. No mushroom, no mushroom, no mushroom. Open attack.
The unworthy.
I'm on a roll.
Okay, so semi good news for us, just because we can also concerted strike this. So we're gonna gain this health, and then we're gonna use, I think, the concerted strike just so that we go up to a comfortable amount. And then yesterday we'll have the elusives, but we have the radiant plus the sharp sights, so we should be able to stabilize here. Now the downside is this matchup is so fast, we're not gonna get to utilize our luxes the way that we want. By the time these are up and running, they probably concede because we just will have established control of the board. Wow, that would have hit us last time. That would have been a no es bueno.
Hold back the darkness.
But we will do this and then try to play Lux, assuming they don't just outright concede. They might concede once Lux comes down. They have one card. I think this is safe to do while they're at 11. And now it's just pew pew laser time.
Strike for justice.
Yeah, I think we just let this go. There's a temptation to play a bunch of these. Honestly, I think we just play the Fangs here and then they probably do concede, let's be honest. Yep. All right. Well, that was fun. Fiora Zoe, huh? This could be problematic as we hunt for lasers. I don't think we want any of these in the opener. Got a little better. Got a little better. Turn 1 Zoe. There it is. It's a 1-1 elusive champion. You know that you're just going to run into it on turn 1. You saw the Teemo last game. See the Zoe this game. Well, you can just bank on it. All right, we do have a Lux, so maybe we get lasers going this time as the game hangs at the moment. Not sure what was going on there, but just pretend that didn't happen. So, and if, as long as this isn't a serpent, we should be able to get an attack in with this mountain goat. You know, even if it is a serpent, it might be worth it to take the attack just because they're going to challenge us anyway. But I guess if you let it go, you can maybe protect yourself with the sharp sight. Doesn't matter. We don't have to worry about it because it didn't happen. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. Okay, so that is a mentor of stones. We don't have a Aphelios, so our sky is not helpful at the moment. No pale cascade, etc. I think we just pass here and take the block on the Zoe. This feels like the best use of our mana available. Slows them down a chunk. We can bank the spell mana and then gem this before swinging in so it doesn't die. I think that's what we're gonna do. See if they want gems or if we get the 4 damage in. And we'll take 4 damage. Just want to keep this board relatively under control until we can get to laser. Laser time. Ooh, okay. So we have our Aphelios about to come online just before our Lux turn. So this is actually kind of nice. Now this Sparklefly really helps them out. We do not have a good way to deal with it unless we want to use our concerted strike here. And spoiler alert, I think that's what we want to do. So we're gonna assign our blocks like this, but try to get this, and this would be nice as well because we would get another gem, but they go with the Bastion. Now, a couple of different options here. Obviously, the damage on the Sparklefly is tempting, but with all these gems, they'll be able to heal it right back. So I actually think Gravitum to make sure that this thing is slowed down reasonably makes a bit of sense. But we really want to get our Lux down here as well. So I think that's what we're going to do. We'll get punished by an open attack there. Potentially. I mean, we do have this Hush, so it's maybe not that much of a punish. Kind of want to swing with this goat just to see if we can get this off the board. But we can also just block with that next turn as well. I think we just pass all the way around here. They've got mana for combat tricks at the moment. They'll have that next turn as well, but I'd rather wait until we have mana. I don't want to give them any ideas here. We would have been really praying for no open attack so that we had the Gravitum play, but top decking that Hush last turn was a massive boon. In fact, at this point, I don't even think we play the Gravitum. I think we probably bait the attack. And so now we wait and see if they want to waste combat tricks here. Actually pretty good for them, all things considered. How do we want to tackle this? Let's go ahead and let's get this gem here, give ourselves some mana. Now, I know we're kind of hosing ourselves out of a moon weapon. Should be at 4 of 6, right? Ultimately, we're going to just try to laser this while it's still silenced. So I think we just let this go. So here, I think we're going to grab the... Oh, tough call. Again, we'd love to do the Calibrum here. Maybe we do Calibrum for nuking this, just to get that out of the way as well, and pray that our laser is enough to kill this. I mean, the good news is we have our machine up and running at the moment, so now we try the laser. They still have 5 mana, so another Bastion could be in the works here. Best is fine, so now they have to what? Also sharp sight it? Okay. They've really earned keeping that alive at the moment. Another Hush for that is actually kind of comical. So this is back to 0 of 6. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do, let's go with Crescendum here. Whoops, let's go with this one. This is what I wanted. Good thing I paid attention. Take another Gravitum. We're gonna try to nuke this, just like I said. Slow play this before we attack in. Okay, it's gonna keep us off of the laser game plan, but that's fine. We have the Gravitum to buy ourselves some time in that regard then. It's a good backup plan.
Strength and grace, beauty in the blade.
All right, so with 4 mana and 2 cards, you have to assume it's like a riposte. But again, we have this Hush. So while we'd love to use the Hush and Laser there, if we also get rid of the Fiora, I think that's probably fine. Like, this is already stunned, so we have time for dealing with that. And there's actually a scenario where we could maybe keep this stun locked forever. So they go with a Cascade. Which is interesting because we could Hush this and then that still technically survives if they have another combat trick. But I think that's probably still fine. Because again, they're down to just 2 cards in hand. So at this point, we are just trying to win the resource game. Now that's a bit of a bummer because that shuts down our value engine, not named Lux. And it also shuts down this pulling one of these for more resources potentially, but this gets stunned again, so again we get a reprieve there. We can try to find an answer. Interesting. Actually, depending on what this card is, we don't have a way to protect this if we drop it. At least right away. But I think you still let it go. Yeah, because you want something like Comet here. So they're gonna get this kill. But we are gonna try to nuke this now. And we try to nuke this because we will get the laser if this is successful to then attempt on Fiora. There it is. And so now we get to find out if this is enough to keep her alive. So they are going to dig to see if they find an answer. And it was not an answer, so pew pew lasers! Oh, that feels so good. Been trying all video to do that. Only took 3 games. So we will take it. And I actually think we will hold on to this for now. I think we just pass. There's an argument to be made about taking this and then going with the open attack with an extra unit. And we get the surrender anyway. So lasers, it finally worked. And yeah, that's the deck, or that's the idea for the archetype anyway.